Start sharing, we'll begin.
How you been? Here.
And Marty won't be here to say here.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, God, you just made it in time. I'm ready to start.
I know, I couldn't be late because you're very punctual.
I am.
Hello, everybody.
Let's
Marty,
go.
3 minutes. How you been?
Yes. Tell me when we're live, Christine.
We are
Yeah,
live.
pretty
Everybody.
serious.
All right, welcome everyone. This is the regular monthly board meeting for the Tioga County Industrial Development Agency. It is Wednesday, July 7th, 2021 at 4:30 p.m. The meeting is hereby called to order. Now, Christine, I wonder if you could do a attendees.
Jen Ciccarelli,
Here.
Kevin Gillette,
Here.
Aaron Gowan, Tracy Manel,
Here.
Martha Starbright, here, John Ward,
Here.
Eric Knowles.
Virtual.
We have no privilege of the floor this evening. Hopefully everybody's had time to review minutes from last month. I'm seeking a motion to approve the June minutes, please.
So moved.
Thank you. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to the financials. Aaron's not here, John. I wonder if you had time
I
to.
took a peek at them.
Everything looks good?
Yeah, I mean, Christina sent the note out about the miscellaneous income.
And then Aaron did call me when I was on my phone.
Oh, good. All right. Seeking a motion to acknowledge the financials, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? Moving on to economic development and planning update. Mrs. Tinney, you're up.
I think she's been golfing.
No, she called.
No,
Oh, okay.
you there? Okay.
Yeah, find your-
Just to give some department highlights, won't go into great detail. The Economic Recovery Advisory Council has wrapped up. We've put together a summary document for the work that the council did over the past year and a half. A good document. I'm happy to share it with you if you'd all like to take a look at it. Pretty pleased with the outcome and how everybody came together and what we were able to accomplish. Continuing to put out COVID relief programs, resources for businesses. Have some changes coming with the land bank. So Teresa Saracino, who is the current director, is stepping down. So we're making some changes within the department. Basically, what will happen is Brittany Woodburn will pick up land bank duties, and we're going to be redistributing duties throughout the department, as well as hiring a part-time person to kind of pick up some of the, we have to now take some things away from Brittany if we're going to add the land bank stuff. So we're in the process of figuring that all out. The Temple and Liberty Housing Project, we were able to go, Ralph Kelsey, Elaine Jardine and I were able to go to Watkins Glen to a ribbon cutting there for INHS had a similar type project in Watkins Glen. So we were able to go and visit and take a look at the building and walk around. It was really nice. The Village of Waverly Senior Housing Project with SEP is moving along. That's out on, looks like it's going to be out on Spring Street. That's moving forward pretty quickly. Our education workforce coordinator position we'll talk about a little bit later. Ag value chain study steering report, our final report is complete. I don't know, Megan, I think was going to talk a little bit about that. We have at this time identified 13 potential grants. We have 23 that we've made or assisted in making application on that we're waiting to hear. And we have 21 that are active grants right now, including a CFA with Midwestern Pet Foods, Raymond Hadley, the Ag Value Chain, Village of Candor, New York Main Street, and Hooker Foundation Workforce Coordinator, just to name a few. And one that is wrapped up, that was the REAP strategic plan, has been completed. So that's what we're doing, some of what we're doing.
And,
Questions?
That's a lot.
and I'm gonna bring up this conceptual design for Lounsbury.
Yep.
if it works. Or not.
Gotta hold it still long enough to push the button.
Thanks.
Can you see it? I don't see it. Oh, there it is.
Then
So to give a, just a quick
the barn
update on
is
this.
now.
We are working with Jason Bellis from Larson Design Group to help us put together a conceptual for the industrial spec space we talked about in Lounsbury. We're looking at, as you can see, the possibility of the construction of 6 buildings out there, roughly 12,000 square foot each. And, you know, a loop road. Jason has taken a look at extending municipal water, sewer, natural gas, electric, all that. And I've asked him to take it a step further and give us an opinion of cost for extending these utilities. So he's recommending a phased approach with the first building to be built. Christine, you can point to where that is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be the first building to be built. And then we'd move on. Phase 2 would be above there, right there. We'd build number 2, or our developer would build number 2. And then third phase would be right there. And then the fourth phase would include the last 3 buildings. So Jason is breaking that out, anticipated or an opinion of cost to do each of these phases. And what we're anticipating is that the IDA will be responsible for extending the utilities to the site. And as we phase through it, the developer would come in and actually build the building. So we needed to know, what it's going to cost us to do that. So Jason's looking at that for us right now. I'll come back with something after he gets something a little more formal put together. But I just wanted to share this with you so you could get an idea of what we're thinking of out there and how we might approach it.
Knocking my barn down,
Gonna knock your barn down. You want it?
maybe.
At some point. I mean, obviously it will be the last part of the project. Once we get to it, we won't need to until the final phase. But yeah, ultimately that barn will come down.
We actually have to go
Where is
inside
that
and look
barn?
at that,
The barn's like right there.
That's what I thought, okay.
because it might be.
Because there's that's that little bridge that isn't a little bridge that goes across right there. No,
Leanne says no.
That goes across there? No, this is the new road. This is Buck Road. The town barn is right, above it. And FedEx is over here. This isn't the Hess property. This is the town of Nichols property, that 10 acres right in front of where they built their highway garage.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're thinking the Hess property is over. It's not on that.
Okay.
There's a Lopke across the road, Yep. So the property owner that owns the residential right next to the barn, where the barn is now, he's interested in selling. So, we may have conversations with him down the road.
And who is that?
I have to get back to you on that. I've talked to the guy. I can't remember his name now. I'll have to get back to you.
When you get old, you can't remember stuff.
I've got vacation brain working right now anyway.
Thanks, Leanne.
Yep.
Christine, you want to move on with project updates?
Sure. So the Owego Gardens 2 cost spreadsheet has no updates since last month. We haven't dispersed any funds since then. Leanne, do you kind of want to take this one?
Yep.
Thank you.
So we've got lots going on. First, just to give you an update of what is done, both the culverts are in. The tank access road grading, base and grading are complete. The tank site prep work has begun. The tank and roof have been released for fabrication, so they're on order. The water main coming up the hill is complete. But we ran into issues once we got to the townhouse loop road. A couple of things have come up. So one is there was, in the original plans, it called for an 8-inch line around the townhouse loop. However, when it was put out at is a 6-inch line in an effort to save the IDA a little bit of money. And so it was bid and materials ordered on a 6-inch line. Last week, Suez said basically, hey, wait a minute, we only accept 8-inch line. So much drama ensued. And in the end, I think, if I read my last email from Jamie, because this all happened Friday, of course, and then today and yesterday. So I believe they've come to an agreement that they will allow the 6-inch line, which is a good thing because Robinson had already purchased the 6-inch materials. So I believe we're at a 6-inch line and we're okay there. However, there was a problem that came up from home leasing's point of view regarding compaction. So they were using native materials to do the compaction around the water line, which upon testing doesn't fit the bill because some of these lines are going to be under asphalt. So home leasing was requiring for native materials to be pulled out and bring in materials that's better for the compaction rate. So I anticipate that we will be getting a change order because that was not called out in the original spec and not what Robinson had bid. So again, I was not part of the meeting. They had a meeting yesterday to talk through some of this. Christine, did you attend that?
So I attended yesterday and today. Jamie had a different point of view today than home leasing or Suez, and he's going to push back and basically try to defend Robinson's warranty and say it's good, and if it fails, they'll come back and repair it as far as the compaction goes. So
we're working through that now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be talking with Jamie, I'm sure, more about that. But ultimately, there could be a change order depending on where we end up. So just a heads up on that.
So have they put the pipe in the ground or have they just purchased the pipe?
They've just purchased it. They've not put the pipe. Well, I take that it's half and half. So for the townhouse loop, they have purchased the pipe. It's not gone in the ground yet. For the part that's up by the apartment building, that pipe is in the ground, and they're being told now that they've got to take it up and excavate out the native materials and use this other material in there. So that's sitting there right now in the ground, sitting there waiting to hear whether they're going to have to dig it up again or not. So I'll keep you posted on what happens there. I think that's all I have for now on Owego Gardens. It's enough.
Does anybody know if the pipe was put in? Leanne, do you know if the pipe that's in the ground was put in with sand?
I do not.
Sand?
I don't know the answer to that, Kevin.
That would be an interesting point to ask Robinson. I mean, generally, when you're dealing with a lot of leveling issues and compaction issues, and it sounds like this is a pretty big line. And if it was buried in sand, my thoughts on the compaction would be a whole lot less than if it wasn't.
Yeah, I'm getting the sense that it's not, only because what they're saying is they're using native material, and native material holds big rocks. And so therefore with the bigger rocks, that they're not able to get the compaction rate that they're looking for.
Right, but the big rocks make me think even more that they put sand or something around that. It might make sense.
I don't know the answer to that. I can see what I can
I
find.
don't know of anybody that would put a pipe in the ground and throw big rocks on top of it and compact it. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen in a residential setting with a 1-inch black plastic pipe. So that's an important point. Just,
Okay.
It's good to have that ammo in your bag when you go talk about it. Gotta have all the weapons.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. I will absolutely ask that question. The last thing that we need to talk about regarding Owego Gardens 2 is a potential revision to the developer agreement. So if you recall, the developer agreement is between the IDA and Suez. And because Suez was calling for their inspector to do the site inspection, Jamie backed that inspection fee out, and we're paying through Suez, we're paying for their inspector to watch what's going on. That's what was in the original developer agreement. Because there were parts of the project that were left out of the original scope, and that includes the SCADA, as you may recall, we've been talking about SCADA right along. That's the computer monitoring system, whatever. As well as there's a generator and miscellaneous electrical work that was not specifically called out in the original documents that's needed to be done. And so what we're trying to work through, part of what we're trying to work through right now is figuring out who's going to do what of those 3 remaining items, and then the cost associated with what those 3 remaining items are, and then how we're going to pay for that. So we had discussion about this, and if the IDA were to say, okay, we're going to hire out the additional electrical, we'd have to put out another RFP, we'd have to go through the whole bid process and all that. So we decided an easier way to get this part done would be to modify the developer agreement to incorporate those 3 items, the purchase of the generator, SCADA work, and miscellaneous electric, include that in the developer agreement. Ultimately, the IDA would pay Suez now, and then we wouldn't have to do the whole RFP and bidding out and the time that would take to do all that. So at this point right now, we're still trying to work through who's going to be doing what. And then once we know that, we'll be able to pull those other numbers together, revise the developer agreement, and bring that back to the board for your review and approval. Not perfect, but in the time frame that we've got, it's probably our best option.
Anytime something comes up with this project, Suez is involved. It's a negative thing. Makes me want to vote there for people. Joe, anything about that? Easy to get over. I agree.
Questions?
I don't think so. Let's move on.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so regarding the education workforce coordinator position, we did enter an agreement with the funding, the Hooker Foundation. ED&P office has submitted an application seeking other funding to replace that funding, as they promised the Hooker Foundation they would do. Brittany's established a steering committee, which I do believe Jen and Eric are both on. And they've received, as of yesterday, at least like 40 resumes.
Oh,
8 are looking
oh
good,
dear.
so
That's awesome.
I'll take them some time to review that.
Oh,
Oh. What did we sign up for, Eric?
I was hoping for 4. You got 40, so.
Well,
I think you can cut them out.
I think we can.
yeah, Britt was saying maybe 8 of them are solo, so that's all she's gonna,
Okay.
I think, bother you.
Eric, you can disregard mine. I've decided I've had enough.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Okay, so next up, we have the INHS Temple and Liberty final resolution. Okay, so resolution authorizing the lease-back transaction to facilitate the acquisition, construction, and equipping of 2 acres of land situated on Temple Street and Liberty Street in the village of Owego for the affordable housing development complex consisting of 45 apartments, and appointing INHS or an entity to be formed as agent of the agency for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, and equipping the project and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents with respect thereto, including real property tax exemption in an amount not to exceed 942,216, sales and use tax exemption not to exceed 434,427, and mortgage tax exemption not to exceed 2,270. So this is the resolution to approve entering the pilot agreement with the INHS. Seeking a motion to approve that.
Any discussion prior to that?
Can I vote on this? I'm on the land bank.
Yes. No discussion?
So for the duration of this pilot, the total dollars difference, if I'm reading this right, the total dollars difference is 259,000. Is that right?
It's 86 a year, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. Well, if the current base is actually paying. Yeah.
Which they don't necessarily. But if they did, it would be almost, it'd be almost 900,000, and the pilot is gonna get us 640,000, give or take.
Right, you're putting 45 residences in a space that was 17 or 18 possible, right? I don't know how many rentals were involved in that.
And most of them are empty.
Right. All
Yep.
right, what are we looking for?
A motion.
Motion.
To approve the pilot.
is-
I'll make a motion.
A second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have to call them out? one by one?
Opposed? We do not, because we have a majority here. Thank
Okay,
you. We're
great.
done.
Thank you.
You done sweating, Leanne?
I'm happy. I'm happy. Thank
That was
you.
quick. That worked out well.
That was the easy part, man.
That's right.
All right. So next up, we have the West Bay Star LLC application. And I'll just briefly go over the cost benefit analysis for this project. So this is for West Bay Star LLC to develop a new medical facility at 936 Taylor Road, ultimately to be leased to Lords. So the current assessed value of the property is 176,000 roughly, and when they've completed the project, it'll be approximately 1.4 million. They're requesting local sales tax in the amount of $88,000 and state sales tax exemption in the same amount, and they're requesting mortgage tax savings of $32,525. They will be creating 12.5 jobs here in Tioga County with the new facility. Annual increased earnings of 3.2 million.
Hang on a second.
Okay.
They're gonna move the facility that they have now up there,
Yes.
and they're still gonna create 12 more jobs, or are they moving those jobs up there and they're saying that that's the job?
There's more expanded services.
They need more space.
Okay. Getting a handle.
The temporary construction estimated as 50 full-time employees to create the building, which has a positive economic impact to the county. This is showing the 20-year pilot request. Their exemption would be roughly 1.2 million over the course of the 20 years, and their total payments would be 400,000. And they are investing 5.7 million into the project total, and it's so tonight we are seeking a motion to approve the inducement resolution, formally acknowledging the application and setting a public hearing for Wednesday, July 28th at 5 p.m.
This is in here, I don't know if I saw it before. Oh, I got it, terms, that's back in 17.
floodplain.
It is.
So floodplain. It's gonna be all fine. Tearing
Well,
down
wet-
that
wet
old
behind it.
Trabuco place.
What's that?
So you get plenty wet behind it, but it's not behind it.
Yeah, well, Great Pond extends down there.
Turtles and such.
What's the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I said it was out of the floodplain and some of the others said it's floods in back of it because it's swampy. It's the pond, but
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
First we'll be able to get there. but-
Yep.
If they're coming down the hill.
Right.
I'm good with it.
But what was the final pilot that we agreed on here? This one got kicked around a little bit.
It did. The final agreement is offering them an estimated 1.2 million in abatement over 20 years. And they would be paying the 400,000 over the 20-year period.
Or nothing.
Yes, exactly.
Is that a second?
The second one, I'm all into seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
So you're basically 2-1 off from where we thought. Like, the sweet spot-
Moving right along.
Sweet spot might be 0.
200 off of what they originally asked for.
Sunny Solar.
Okay. Yep, so I'm having a hard time pulling up the regular agenda again, but we will just proceed anyway. So the Sunny Solar pilot application and cost benefit analysis. So I'll just briefly go over the cost benefit analysis for this one. The proposed project will produce 20 megawatt of solar energy to help New York State meet its goal of 70% renewable energy by 2030. The project location is at 2593 Montrose Turnpike in Owego and covering approximately 168 acres. It will create one job with an estimated payroll of $76,000. And let's see. Their total investment into the project is estimated at just under $25 million. They have not requested a mortgage tax abatement. They have requested sales tax exemption. They are already granted state sales tax exemption due to the nature of the project. So we would be granting them the local sales tax exemption in the estimated amount $748,540. They'll be creating one job full-time. They will be paying this employee $76,000 a year. There will be estimated 55 full-time employees for the temporary construction project. And they've requested roughly $3.6 million in real property tax abatement over 18 years. They would be still paying approximately $2.6 million. And the proposed project will allow potential savings to local electricity consumers estimated at $7.8 million over the 18-year pilot term.
Yeah, how much of that's local?
I don't think so. I think it's going to the city. Forget that.
Oh, that's all right.
You said forget.
Huh?
You said forget that. You didn't say F that.
And the company is agreeing to compensate a local landowner $75,000 a year, translating into $1.35 million over the 18-year lease agreement or 40-acre portion of the project area. So tonight we are seeking a motion to acknowledge the submission of the application and set a public hearing.
You can motion if you want to, but I'm voting against this.
Well, we can, why do we do that? Why don't we have the motion and then we'll just vote?
Okay,
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
thank you. How about a second? No,
I don't know if you can make a motion and vote against.
Okay,
But if there's no second, then it doesn't go any further.
If there's no second, it doesn't go.
It doesn't go anywhere. And furthermore, I would like to make a statement that I'm done with solar.
Yeah, me too.
No
But you can-
more.
you can vote
I'm
no.
I'm done with my parliamentary opinions this evening.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think there's a possibility if you make a motion
You can't
or
vote
even
against it.
second it, you can't vote against it.
Okay, so withdraw it.
Then what's the opposed option about? I mean. when
Well,
we
there is
vote.
no proposal. If nobody moves, the thing dies.
Okay, so it should
All right,
die
then
out
I'm
front.
withdrawing my motion.
Okay,
So
Basically,
when,
it's brought to the
Well,
floor, I'm
or
voting no.
if somebody who plans on voting for it makes the motion, that's different.
Mhm.
But when a board member says,
I
I'm
see.
gonna vote against this, but by the way, I'm moving.
I see.
That's what
Yes,
it's a highly.
that was a good
You better look,
clarification.
no, it's not a
It's-
clarification.
No,
It's
it
all
is,
muddy
because-
water right now.
So
That's what they
Did
get
you
you
make
for,
a
muddy
motion?
water.
because if you made a motion, you can withdraw it.
I'm withdrawing my motion.
So generally, the person making the motion is going to vote for the project.
Well,
One would think I call bullshit.
So when they say, when they come and ask what happened, so do you respond?
No board member had it.
Nobody moved it. It dies. From a parliamentary perspective.
Is there anybody on the call side of this, in this room that thinks we should go forward with this solar project?
No, I'll be honest with you. I mean, dealing with solar, when they're talking about bringing one full-time job, which isn't even a full-time job, it's somebody that they already had was going to monitor the stuff. I mean, to grant them exemptions in the millions of dollars, it doesn't make any sense to me.
And furthermore, there's a lot more solar projects that are coming, and I think the IDA needs to consider these requests because they do not create permanent jobs. And really, IDAs are intended to create jobs, and housing opportunities are what we do, but these do not create jobs.
I will tell you that many of the IDAs around the state are struggling with this right now, struggling with trying to set a policy that deals with renewables. We're struggling in Boone with it. And, there's many different thoughts on where it should go or shouldn't go.
I have another question on this solar. It covers a lot of ground, 100 and some acres. How much weed killer and whatnot did they spray on these things over that 30-year pilot?
I don't know what they do. I don't know. I gotta look at one all day, every day.
Well,
I don't know that they're spraying. I think that the ground is covered so densely
Tightly, yeah,
that
with the
there's,
cover.
sun can't get to it.
it's worth a question.
Mhm.
Even if it's so farmland, again, 30 years, it doesn't matter a lot to me, folks. But somebody, if they end up taking this thing apart and scrapping it out, and then they go and have some kind of new system to put on top of the grid work, it's all gotta come back out of there. What's left? I mean, we can scrape all the stuff out of the ground, but we don't know, I don't have the answer to that. How do they keep the grass down around 100 and some, whatever?
Dense shade.
Well,
They got all the fence around
Well,
167.
across the valley for me, they've got broken pieces of glass everywhere and they're coming up.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of questions I have about the long-term viability of the property it sits on. The other piece of this is, it doesn't create jobs, although it could be 55 temporary jobs tearing it back down in 30 years. There's the fact that you're giving up a big chunk of tax dollars on what's the taxes on the property today compared to the taxes they'll be paying even with the pilot. There's an argument to be had there. But I agree with Marty. I think there's more of these projects coming and there's a limited amount of places to put them. So, you're in the front end of the curve. We haven't even hit the top of this thing to where everybody fully understands it. So you're hitting the front end of the curve and it's a steep learning curve. Plus, I think there's a lot more revenue at the top of the curve. So maybe they don't build it here, maybe they go
Well,
elsewhere,
they-
but it's okay. 'cause
We
there'll
just,
be
we
another-
don't have to
there'll be
give a
another one.
pilot, they just gotta figure it out, they're already getting set.
They're gonna build it regardless of whether we give a pilot, that's my.
Well, then we.
Well,
then-
they're on the record saying.
Yeah.
They are on the
They don't
record
need a
saying.
pilot.
Yeah, So then.
They got money coming from the governor to build these things already, so they don't need us. That's my point.
So let the chips fall where they may, let them build it, let them get taxed on it.
And anybody that
Because people
wants to do a
are-
pilot, that's a solar company, you can just say, not interested.
I don't know if you can do that on everyone, but
No.
I mean, we can at least debate them.
Right.
You know, I think, that, you know, it is the way of the future. There are, you can't sit here and say it's not, and I don't think it's anything to do with the 70% by 2035. I think it's just a pipe dream, but anything's possible.
I remember something about the panels in all the other presentations I've heard on the subject. Get replaced 25 years.
Mhm.
Yeah,
25 to 30.
right.
If
That's
they-
why I think this
if they-
definitely would have been more useful if the curve wasn't 15. If it was that 30 years,
Right.
Mhm.
then what's your?
The other thing
There's another one being built over on Blue Road.
has anybody had a full understanding of what actually that project is going to net the folks that invested the money in it? I mean, we have what we've been presented, but we have no idea what's coming out the other end of that thing and whose pocket it goes in. And nobody's doing this for nothing. I mean, they take the incentives up front and, you know, they're looking at long-term investment of over 30 years or 20 years or 15 years. The guy's building it looking for like tomorrow. What's in it for me tomorrow? But what's the actual net? Does anybody know that? Have you ever had somebody present to you what the net on a 167 acre solar farm nets the people that invested the coin in it? And went out and got the pilot and the incentives from the
And
state.
you know that it's got to be substantial that they wouldn't be doing it.
Right,
I'll
I mean-
let John McNamara could answer that question. I'll bet he has an idea.
yeah.
Because he was in this business for a while.
Leanne, this is similar to the housing project. You know, everybody brings these housing projects and they talk about the slim margins and the tight budgets and all that, but nobody talks about the tax incentives that the investment folks in the background are getting. So they're not getting a $50,000 or $60,000 pop a year, but they are getting a $50,000 or $60,000 tax break. So, you know what I'm saying? I just like to know the backstory here. And if there's anybody out there that can come and educate us about that, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that, see what we can find out.
Instead of the guy that wants to build it, or the company or the group that wants to build it.
Yeah, because they're just.
I'd like to have the person that understands the economics of it, explain it to us. That would be a really good presenter for us.
And it's not Governor Cuomo.
Yeah, we'll see what we can find.
That would be an education for us.
Yeah, that's what we need if we want to go forward with the next project, is understand who makes what where. Who gets the cash? Where's it going?
Yeah, and there's a reason why they're building these things.
Right.
It ain't because they're nice people and they want to help out the community. That's all.
Right.
They're doing it because there's money.
I would
The
suggest
only
that,
reason to do anything except help your family.
that we
let's get on
we just
with it.
move on and, you know, say that we're not going to entertain this. Let's get educated more in the future, move on with the agenda. How's that?
That's good. I
Thanks,
like
Jen.
that.
Thanks
Okay,
for bringing us back around.
Yeah. Have to cut you out sometime.
Got down to me.
I was getting a little frustrated.
Get these guys with the snowflakes.
all right, so sales tax exemption update, Owego Gardens 2 is within their authorized amount and still submitting monthly reports. The ag value chain study that Megan Griffiths oversaw has a final report now that she will speak to a little bit. Megan, you're up.
But you speak to now.
It's gonna take too long because Jenny will not.
It's a nice piece, right. Yeah, they did a very good job with it. So it finished up the end of June. We got the final report and just some background and summary of what it says, basically. So the original purpose was to better understand opportunities and support the viability of the county's farm business and agricultural value chain, and see where strategies could be developed to help grow and support the farm and food economy in the county. The study was guided by a steering committee made up of farmers, CCE representatives, and soil and water representatives. The study consists of a literature review of local and regional plans, interviews of farmers and institutional buyers, CCE staff. Just a couple of the interview themes that popped up. Tioga County is an export ag community, so basically they sell their agricultural products in surrounding counties, mostly Broome and Tioga. There's shifting dynamic in the ag community in the county, so we're seeing a lot of older dairy farmers retire and a lot of Amish folks moving in and taking over those farms. And also just in terms of the dynamics, there's a lot of smaller dairy farms have gone out and leaving just bigger dairy farms overall. And then the last things that came out of the interviews were just there is potential for institutional buying, whether it's the Food Bank of the Southern Tier is looking to partner with more farms, Broome Tioga Boasties is looking to partner with more farms, and even those direct-to-consumer home delivery, that exploded due to COVID, and they are looking to partner with more farms. So after the interviews, KKNP developed some preliminary strategies that were tested at the roundtables. The roundtables again consisted of farmers, people from CCE, Rural Health Network, buyers from Broome Tioga Boasties, Food Bank of the Southern Tier. And after that, and input from the steering committee, they developed final strategies. So there were 4 final strategies, and first 2 kind of go together: encouraging farm-based innovation, pilot testing new farm strategies on farm, documenting and disseminating with other local farmers. And then the second one, creating a virtual farm incubator, which is really attempting to connect early and mid-career farmers to existing resources and programs. And this has a really good synergy with the new CCE farm that's being purchased in Kander. So hopefully we can take advantage of that and work with them. And then the third and fourth strategies kind of go together, which is pursuing and providing active value chain coordination and creating a shared use aggregation center, because there's no like central point of aggregation in the county, which works for some other communities in the state. And it would help with the lack of transportation that a lot of the farmers have. So I think it was really, really well done. They did a great job, and it was really great working with them. And hopefully we can collaborate with CC and some of the other partners to see these strategies.
What's the status of the farm in Kander? Have they purchased it, or
I
are they still trying to raise money, or what?
I haven't heard if they've
I've heard
officially bought
recently
it or
what's
not.
going
I
on.
know they had like a deadline of June 30th to get their funds, so I'm not sure if it.
Well, I hope they did. 'Cause I
Yeah.
thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. It's very.
I saw a lot of Amish people recently at Farmer Brown's too, selling their
Yeah.
vegetables.
Yeah, that's kind of like their main person, I
Yeah.
guess, is an Amish farm.
That's
from
some great
Nichols.
broccoli.
Yeah.
Farmer Brown's
All these farms.
On 434.
Oh, yeah.
They're inside. When you walk in the entrance, they're on the right hand side, selling all kinds. I know. Don't buy their
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's
good,
Rich.
Where are we?
We are at grant updates B.
Okay.
So the Monkey Run FEMA application was approved. We've received the federal share of funding in 21,000 roughly. And Soil and Water, Mike Jura and I have met with the contractors on site and are anticipating receiving 3 bids soon. And hoping to get that done before fall, before it gets wet again. We have a application in progress, again with the Richford Railroad. And we facilitated the final pass-through disbursement for the Weissman shredding grant. So that has reached completion. And that's all we have on the agenda today. The executive only has the loan report.
Does anybody have a reason to go into executive session? No? You're all happy, everything's good.
There you go.
I'm delighted. Well, with that, if there's no other discussion, should we discuss anything anymore? Anything to talk about? No? Everybody's good? Well, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Don't make it if you're gonna vote again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make that
Don't
motion.
say anything unless you really want to do it.
Tracy, right back that.
So I expect Joe to come back to the next meeting and tell me that I can bring a motion and vote against it.
Yeah.
It's, you know, I may have to.
Split
I'll check it out.
personality.
I say about 7-8 hours.
Hey, guys, thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye, everybody.